Welcome back to the Own Your Power Lifestyle Show. I'm Coach Simone Kelly, author, intuitive life coach, and Reiki master with Own Your Power Communications. We're your trusted guide to conscious living, intuitive wisdom, and personal growth. In today's show, we're talking about a hot topic that has got a lot of people shaking in their boots. It's called Facing ICE. Legal insights every immigrant should hear. My special co-host is Ayanna Cabrera. Hi, Ayanna. Welcome back. Ayanna is the owner of For Me Communications, a marketing and sales and training firm. And our special guest today is attorney Sandra Scherfrer. Welcome, Sandra.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Good evening, everyone.
So Sandra is a former client of mine for many years. I haven't seen her in a long time, so it's so good to see her face. She's an immigrant.
I am an immigrant.
Oh, well, yes.
Yeah, I am.
Thanks. Clean that up. An immigrant from where?
I'm Bahamas, parents from Haiti. So Haitian Canadian.
Okay, both. Okay. So we're going to first ask you to share a little bit about your practice. How long have you been in business and who are your clients?
So my name is, again, Sandra Scherfrer. I'm a practicing attorney. I've been practicing immigration law since 1999. Specifically immigration. I know I don't look it.
No, you don't.
I originally started off as a public defender doing criminal defense work. And then I went into immigration, mainly representing criminal immigrants. I transitioned into representing Haitian nationals, doing a lot of asylum work, mainly people who were persecuted by the government in power at the time. Because if we all know, Haiti's had several coups d'etats, overchanged government, like one another. Administration comes in, they start targeting the other that were there before. So there was a constant flow of me representing mainly Haitian immigrants. Also represented people from the Eastern Bloc when Yugoslavia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Herzegovina. So I had a bunch of clients from that area. I represented Colombian, Venezuelan nationals because they had issues in their countries too. And I spent the time representing a group of Brazilian, more so on people that was based on sexual orientation with those claims. I've done asylum claims for Jamaican nationals. Those are also sexual orientation claims because it's against the law in that country to be homosexual. So
wow.
So, yeah, I spent a lot of time doing asylum work with a lot of people.
Wait, it's actually against the law in Jamaica?
Yes, it is.
I just thought that was a cultural thing. I didn't know it was an actual law.
It's against the law.
Are you freaking kidding me? Oh, my God.
It's against the
law.
So
sad.
Yeah, it's against the law.
My God. You think I know about my people. I didn't know that. All right. So, Ayanna, you have some questions?
All right. The first question I have for you is, what are the immediate steps an individual to take if they're approached by ICE, either at home or in
So I want them to do some things before ICE gets involved, particularly if you already know that you're undocumented or you don't have status or you have what we call shaky status, right? Because there are times where people have filed applications and they're in process of gaining status. So those individuals need to make sure they have counsel or reach out to some sort of legal service agency, get all of the numbers for the ACLU or whatever advocacy groups are in your area. So when something happens, if something happens, you know who to call, your family knows who to call, and you're not scrambling at the last minute to try to get someone to assist you, right? So that's the first thing I would say. You know what your life is like. Don't be in denial. This is not the time, right? And you should consult with someone anyway, because there's some people who they're better off like not submitting any documents to immigration at this particular time. If you've managed to stay and not be detected for this time, this is not the time to try to figure it out. I'm telling you, talk to an attorney, get whatever advice, but to throw yourself over to this administration, I would say no, right? Now, what do you do when ICE actually comes to the door? So I always have to say, survive to stop, right? So if they come knocking at your door, all these people like, don't let them in your house. Don't do this. Don't do that. You have to take into consideration who it is that's actually at your door. You may have a person that's extremely aggressive, right? And that may not have an issue violating any of your constitutional rights to gain access to your home, right? And officers are allowed to use excessive force in certain instances. So you want to make sure whatever you do, you get to survive the encounter. As much as you may not want to be detained, you just need to survive the stop and allow, attorneys or whatever advocate is going to help you to go in and help you, right? Now, we do have certain rights. They're not allowed to just go into your home, right? So you can resist allowing them into your home. But again, I always say, pay attention to who it is that you're dealing with and don't put yourself in a situation where you may, or the person who ICE has encountered may end up committing a crime, and then now they have legitimate reasons to arrest you or have access to the home. So you have to be careful with that interaction.
Okay. Wow. Another thing I wanted to ask, in the media and like social media, it seems like they're portraying that ICE is going after only people of color, like, Mexicans, Jamaicans, Haitians, Africans, any kind of Latinos in general. Can you confirm if that's, is that actually a thing, or is there like a...
That's pretty much the thing. It is pretty much the thing of real identifiable immigrant communities, whatever that means, right? So you just look like you were supposed to be here, and that's who they're messing with, right? You could have very well been born here. You could have your American passport, but if you kind of look like somebody that probably should have, could have, wouldn't been here, or you might have a cousin who may not, they will have some sort of encounter. Now, the group of folks that I've been seeing getting arrested are some people who are on certain type of monitoring programs where they have to report. So they were either released from custody on a parole, or they may have posted a bond to be released, and they have reporting requirements. Either they got to come in every month or every 90 days to check in with ICE, or this program that's called ISAP. Don't ask me to tell you what it stands for right now. My mind blank. But there's a program called ISAP, and what they've done was they call the the person had an appointment scheduled. They called them, said, "Oh, come in early. We want to just update something," and they were all being arrested while they were reporting.
Whoa.
Now that's absolutely insane, right? Because part of the problem was that they were trying to get people who are either criminals. Those folks are not. Someone who is undocumented with no status, they are not. Those were just low-hanging fruit, and those were people that they can easily get so they can get their headline that they're arresting folks and putting them into detention. So it's extremely unfortunate that's what they're doing. I mean, we have individuals who already have temporary protected status that does not expire until 2026. That's not an undocumented person. That's not a person that's out of status, right? You also have, I have an individual who got picked up who's in court, presently in court, pending court date and everything, and they detained that individual too. So they're not targeting criminals, and they're not only targeting people who are undocumented. They're doing, if you encounter them some sort of way, like a traffic stop or something, and then they're also dealing with the low-hanging fruit, people who already have to come into immigration, and then they're picking up those individuals. So they're making it seem as though they're doing the work real hard. They're not doing hard work. They're just, again, picking that low-hanging fruit.
Wow.
So, Simone, I'm sorry, they're picking up people who speak a language
right?
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Because I think I remember hearing some Puerto Ricans got picked up.
Yes.
It's like, hello, they're legal.
No, they pick up
They're Americans. It's not even legal. They're
African Americans that were detained like all day because the people, no one's walking around with their passport or anything like that. And I think the person actually had like maybe their voter's registration or something, and they're like, "Oh no, that's fake. It's not real." So the family had to come after being detained for the whole day. The family had to come with counsel, and then those individuals were released. Yeah,
that is crazy. Now, another thing I'm curious about is, what if they're separated by if it's a child? Because I'm hearing that they're going to schools now.
Yeah, so they're going to schools.
Trying to go into schools. I don't know if they've been successful.
Okay, so in this administration's mind, they are not separating families because the children can go too, right? So that's how they see it, right? So even though the children are American citizens, they have for all practical purposes, they're allowed to live here. They're like, well, if you leave your child here, that's a decision that you're making. You could take them with you. So they don't consider themselves as separating family. So when you say what people can prepare for, so if you do have young school-age children, you have other relatives or trusted friends, you need to let them know where your kids go to school and have somebody who can go and pick them up from school and let them know what happened. So that's another way to prepare, that if you think there's a possibility that you may encounter ICE.
That's so sad.
Is that you have to let, have somebody go and pick up the children, or else they're going to end up in care.
So I have a question related to that. So let's say in a horrible situation that happens, somebody gets separated, they get sent back to where? Where do they go?
Their native country.
I know, but where? Like, do they just go? Do they go back? Do they go to jail, or do they go to like?
So it depends on the country. So it depends on the country you're from. It depends on the country you're from. Like, for example, in Haiti, if you're when people get sent back there, they all get detained, and they have to get a relative or somebody to get them out of custody. They don't just drop them off at the airport and the people fend for themselves. They detain them all, and somebody has to come and get them. Other countries have different protocol, but they do turn them over to whatever the immigration agency is in that particular country for them to decide how they want to sort out what's happening with these folks. Now, you do have people who've been here 20, 30 years that have very little, if any, connection back home, and they have to figure it out. If they're going to be homeless in their country, that's where they're going to be. But I have to tell you, though, that's usually, I'm not going to say that that's a rare occurrence, but it kind of is a rare occurrence, right? They usually at least have, because everybody doesn't always come. There's always like a aunt that decided, like, y'all go live in America. I don't got no time for it. I'm good where I'm at, right? So there's usually a distant relative that the person that was here has no relationship with, but there's usually at least one distant relative that they may be able to get to, stay with until they figure it out. But then when you're talking about poorer countries, then when they get there, they ain't going to work nowhere. Somebody in the United States is pretty much going to be supporting them for the remainder of the time that they're there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, this is hard. Can you explain the difference between a judicial warrant and an ICE administrative warrant, and how, if you haven't already provided us with the answer to this, how we should respond if presented with either of those?
I don't necessarily, for the purposes of what's happening right now, there's really no distinction. That's basically meant that, because some people, all of their process or their contact with immigration has only been with what the agency, USCIS or ICE. They haven't made it to court yet, right? So if there's going to be an agency that issues like some sort of, like a pickup, like USCIS wouldn't, I hate getting into the name of the agencies, but usually, so one of them is issued by the agency and the other one's issued by the court. Typically, if a person's in court, they're supposed to present. So if you don't show up, like if you have a hearing date in front of an immigration judge and you don't show up, they will issue an order of removal on your behalf, when they call that in absentia. That means that you have an in absentia order of removal and, you didn't come. And so at any point, if you get any encounters with ICE, it can detain you. Now, you can always try to file a motion to reopen, explain why it is that you didn't show up, and then you may be able to continue your proceedings. Or you may have you utilize all of your things, like you had your hearing, you filed your appeal was dismissed, you're at the end of the road, and there's a final order. And a lot of times people don't leave because before, like 2000, there was always some version, some new way that a person would be able to get status. So even if you had an order of removal, there was going to be some sort of immigration law or some policy that was going to change, that was going to allow the people to get status, right? So even when people had final orders, they were like, I just have a final order for now, but in about 2 or 3 years, they're going to pass something that I may be able to benefit from and I can get my status. And for the most part, that was true up until about 2000, right? And that's part of the reason why there's so many undocumented people in the United States right now, because there have been no significant comprehensive immigration reform since 2000, since Bill Clinton left office. They have done absolutely nothing for people who really, if all they have to do is say, okay, pay a penalty and you can get your green card. These people would pay their penalty, get their green card, because by now they're either married. Most of them have children that are over the age of 21 that can file for them. So if just there's the provision that I'm thinking of in particular is something that's called 5I. If they would just bring back 5I, let the people pay the penalty to adjust, that would make money for the government because people gonna pay, and then that would eliminate probably half of the people who they say are presently undocumented in the United States. But that problem exists because there have been no comprehensive laws since then. So in terms of your original question was about the orders. So the order would be from the court would be in absentia because they didn't show up. And then there's some other orders where, depending on the way the person came in, like say they were from what they call like a visa waiver country or something like that, and they did like they applied for an adjustment and it didn't work out, the agency can issue an order of removal, right? Because people who come from visa waiver countries, that's like France, most of the European countries, it used to be Argentina, but it's not anymore. They really can, the only thing they can do in front of a judge is apply for asylum. And oftentimes, most of those countries, those people don't have legitimate claims. So the agency will issue an order, so if they get stopped or picked up, they basically said, you don't have no status here. They tell them to leave in the denial letter. Again, most people don't go. And then, once they get stopped, either they were a passenger in a car, they were driving, something else happened, and then now they're in contact with immigration, and immigration can actually send them back without giving them an opportunity to go in front of a judge.
Ayanna, you wanted to ask another question?
Yeah. So with what you just said and a couple of other things, can local police just arrest or whatever, detain you because of what they think your status is, or is this only allowed by ICE
So
agents?
none of them are really allowed to just do that because they think you look a certain way, right? So that's kind of not how that works, because we still have, constitutional protection. The Constitution still applies. I mean, we want to believe it still applies. Oh, yeah.
Really?
We want to believe it still
Really?
applies. We want to
Tell
believe
me
it still applies.
something.
We want to believe that there's, pretextual stops may
So,
be an
so,
issue.
so, like local police. So, if you're illegal for whatever reason, if the local police runs you, and will it pop up and then they can arrest you, or is that, or detain you? Because there's a difference. I mean, I think as an attorney, there's a difference between you're arrested for committing a crime as opposed to we are now taking you because your
But
status is questionable.
There has to be a reason for the contact in the first place, because they're not just going to know that, right? Either, again, you are a passenger in a vehicle, you're a person that did a traffic violation, you got into a domestic. People don't get into them fights. Don't get into no argument. You ain't got no flowers. I'm telling you, just leave it alone. Don't do it. Like, I don't mean to make a joke about it, but I'm serious. Like, you just won't believe how many people, so don't do it. So they're really not supposed to be able to do that. Usually there's some sort of interaction that causes them to have to be able to look. And once they look, you don't have no right. We don't have a right to conceal our identity. You don't have a right to conceal your identity. So once they discover, who you are, and they do have access, because the agencies are all connected now and they can check. But what ends up happening, particularly in Hispanic communities, is some folks have these popular names, right? And I'm not going to say none because I don't want nobody to say I'm sounding stereotypical or anything. But they may have a name, and when you run it, it's like 3,000 of them with the same name.
Right.
Birthdays might be close, and then you're going to just get caught up because the person that had a similar name and a similar birthday from the same country, may have an order, and then you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
So
I saw something on social media that was so sad that it was I think they were landscapers, and some vigilante guy pretended he had fake ID and claimed he was a cop. It's like, yeah, you're going back. Yeah, Mexicans or whatever. And pretending to be a cop. He ended up getting arrested, thankfully. But there's a guy on Tizzy, I think is his name, Tizzy ENT on social media. He gets everybody. Like whenever they'll be like, find this person, and everybody on his page will like track down the person. So they found this guy. Basically, he was like, again, going around trying to round up all anybody that looked Mexican. But the thing that bothered me the most is that the poor guy did not know, like he couldn't really speak. He took his keys from his car, was talking and threatening him. Yeah. And he didn't. I don't think he spoke English enough to even understand if he really a threat. Should I listen to this guy? Because he was listening to him, and this guy was a regular little. Yeah, you wouldn't know. I mean, you really wouldn't know, and that's why I said like survive the stop. You wouldn't know because that vigilante person could have probably hurt him. You know what I mean? And in this climate, he'd be like, take me to trial. I don't care. You know what I mean? Because they think they can get away with it. Right. And for example, there's a young man in South Florida who during the election had waved a machete against a Kamala supporter, right? It was a Republican kid with a Trump flag. He waved a machete in front of this woman. I mean, it was just crazy. He got arrested that time. They recently just dismissed all the charges against him. What? Yes, they did. So there are going to be some people who are going to feel empowered and emboldened to do things because the climate is like, we can just do whatever we want, So, it's an unfortunate situation that a lot of people are going to find themselves in. But what I do have to say is, as of Friday, the capacity for detention for immigrants was at 109%. So that means all the beds are filled, right? Oh my God.
They're at 109%. So all that energy when this president was talking about he was going to round up all these 14 million people, those of us, we like, dude, you can't do that. You can't do that. You ain't going to do that. You don't have the capacity for it. Y'all don't have the workforce for it. You don't got the nothing to do anything like that, right? So mind you, Monday will be his third week as president. Doesn't it feel like it's been way longer than 3 weeks, right?
It feels like 3 years.
Feel like 2029 already.
It just feels like, oh my God, I'm ready for it to end, but it's like this thing just got started, right? Being said, they're gonna have to just slow down. The bagel come out the microwave hot, and then it cools off real quick. So yeah.
So what about the concentration camps? I mean, they're not calling it that, but that's what they've been using that as a term. Is that true? Like they have
So sometimes, like, okay, so I have some truth that I'm like, I don't know if I want to say it so I don't get myself in trouble, right? Because and I'm not, and then because I don't want it to sound as though I'm advocating for any level of violence. I'm not. Please don't take it like I'm advocating for any level of violence, right? But what I'm saying is they may need to just back up and slow that roll because not everybody is going to take this nicely. You understand what I'm saying? Like, at some point, people are going to be like, just back up off of me, right? And the situation can get ugly, really. You know, you have people that have been in this country 30, 35 years. They got kids, grandkids.
Right.
They got all this car. Some of them are not going to just let you do that. You know, like, period. Right. You know, and there was a situation back in the early 2000s in a facility in Louisiana, right? And these were people that were kind of like indefinite detention. I don't want to give the nationality, but there was some nationality of folks that it was very difficult to remove. You couldn't remove them. But you couldn't release them because they were too dangerous to be released, but you couldn't send them back to their native country because the country would not accept them. They've since changed that, but at the time you couldn't send them. Those folks practically started a riot in the prison, set some spots on fire, did all kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is, right, and again, don't take it as I'm advocating violence, but what I'm saying is people are going to resist because this is a bit outrageous, particularly when they're not being consistent in what it is that they said that they were going to do, right? So again, and then if they want to keep up this energy, you're going to put yourself in a situation where your facilities are overcrowded and it's understaffed. And now you're creating a dangerous situation, not just for the people that you're detaining, but the people that work in these facilities.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to slow down, regroup, figure it out, and go do something else.
Right.
Like, no, seriously. Because they're really creating an environment that's going to get dangerous.
Right. So what are some legal resources that people can go to if they can't afford an attorney?
So EOIR, which is it's with the Department of Justice. They have a list of free legal services of any area that you live in. So wherever there's a court, there's a list of free legal services that they have for that particular area. So if you're in Texas, there's a list that's catered to people in Texas. If you're in Florida, there's a list that's catered to people in Florida. So you can go through to the EOIR, like DOJ EOIR website, and get the list of attorneys for the area that you're in, and then you can probably get them. Now, a lot of them are going to be overwhelmed because of what's going on, right? So you can do that. You can contact, and then any nonprofit, immigration nonprofit organization in your area. What happens with them is that they sometimes only take a specific type of case, but you can reach out to them because they have partners. They have community partners that even if you reach out to, Florida American Immigration Justice, Americans for Immigrant Justice, right? Reach out to them, and if they can't handle the type of case you have, they have partners that they work with that they can refer you to someone else that can assist you, right? There's also a list that have what they call low bono attorneys, like low bono, meaning not free, but they're going to work with you at a reduced price. So pro bono is free. Low bono is it's a reduced rate from what they typically charge in that instance. And that EOIR list also have the name of low bono attorneys that'll be willing to take your case for a reduced price, So,
So what we'll do in the show notes, we'll put a link to some of those resources.
Okay, yeah, and I can provide you with some that you can add. Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Ayanna, you had another question?
I just want to state that the information you're provided is so valuable to us, and as a school board trustee, and we talked about what you should do if you get detained and your kids are still at school and things like that. We have a protocol, and I don't work in the school. I'm a trustee, but we had to send out stuff because there were agents going into schools. And so we have to do certain things and follow protocol. What you've stated, the most important thing is for families to have a plan. And I think that is probably something that should be reiterated over and over again. So thank you for sharing that. Have a plan for the kids, for you. Look, call the people in the other country that auntie you haven't spoken to in a long time. Everybody, you need a plan everywhere now. So I appreciate that insight. I don't have any other.
One thing I did want to ask, I saw this recently. It was posted on a Jamaican Instagram page that I follow, and they were talking about how if ICE asks you to sign a paper, but let's say you're already a American citizen, don't sign it because it can make you go back. It can make you take away your rights, supposedly. I don't know.
Well, so not the American citizen. It's the lawful permanent resident. If the person has what they call the green card, right? So there's a form that they can trick you into abandoning your residency. That's what lawful permanent residents. Don't do that. Don't do that. Once you're a citizen, once you're a citizen of the United States, the only way they can take your citizenship away from you is that they have to put you in federal court. They can't just do it with you signing off on a piece of paper. You have to go in. They have to take you in the federal court, and there's a whole process to denaturalize you. So they have to denaturalize you in federal court. And I'm not saying they don't do it. They've done it before. And so I've known folks that has happened to. So, but they have to take you in the federal court. You know, I mean, maybe this man is going to come up with some executive order that he thinks he could just be like, I got an executive order and I'm going to denaturalize all these people. That ain't how that works. And I'm sure if he signs an executive order to do that, somebody's going to file a lawsuit and then some judge is going to grant an injunction, because that's not how that works. You actually have to take the person into court and denaturalize them.
Well, I was happy that I don't know the exact executive order, what it was called, but I know there was something related to that where he was trying to get people that were already.
Oh, the birthright citizenship. He
yes,
wants
that one.
Yeah. So if you were born,
that got thrown out though, thankfully.
That's like so against the 14th Amendment. It makes no sense,
I know.
right? Like, God, what is this man doing? Like, you can't change the Constitution with an executive order. Like, you got.
I'm like, these people ain't helping them, because I'm like, I don't know where they get these ideas from. Part of me thinks that's a part of his flood the media.
Interestingly enough, so I also teach sometimes, right? And I have some, one of my classes, I have like, my students are like heavily Hispanic, like they're, you know.
In Miami.
And I'm in Miami, right? And they basically said that some of them agreed with it, right? They were like,
what?
Yes, they
agreed with what?
With the birthright citizens, taking away birthright citizenship. Because they're like, in their country, you can't, just because you were born there doesn't make you a national. And it's not an unusual thing. It's so the what he's trying to do is not unusual, but America was built on immigrants, right? Like, that's the whole thing.
We not like you. You not like us.
America,
no,
that's all of them except for the Native Americans came over here. The Statue of Liberty say, bring us your hungry, your weak, your whatever it says. So that ain't even how America rolls, right? And the Constitution says something contrary to that. But it's actually something that's not unusual in other countries around the world. Like, for example, I told y'all I was Haitian Bahamian. I don't know if that was while we were videoing or before. So the Bahamas got their independence in 1973. I have a brother that was born in 1974. If you don't declare your Bahamian citizenship before you're 18, you can't get it. They're going to give you the citizenship of your parent, like either your mother or whatever, right? And mind you, my brother did have a passport before, but however, when he went to try to get another one, they refused to give it to him. So he had to get a Haitian passport. He was never born in Haiti, never been to Haiti.
Wow.
He ended up having to get a Haitian passport because both of our parents are Haitian. So that concept is not unusual in other parts of the world. However, that ain't how America was built. Like, that ain't what America knew.
So you got America, baby.
Wow.
So it's funny. So I found this out. Simone and I talked about this. Like, I am a first generation in a weird way. My dad's Dominican, right? So he was born in Dominican Republic. He didn't become a citizen until 1980. I was already 7. My mother's father is Bahamian, right? So I never, we talk about privilege of white people. Americans have a privilege. There's something that this was never an issue to me. It was an issue to my father because he moved here when he was 9 years old. But we don't even think in that way. Like, you could be born in another country but not get the citizenship of that country. So we're listening to this, watching ICE, not even understanding what really is going on in our country. And we take it for granted and don't learn, just go back to where you came from.
I'm from here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And most of the,
I'm from here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But and most of the bad boys and bad girls that they're trying to deport, most of them grew up here. Like, no lie. I'm telling you, they weren't born here, but they came like when they were 1, 2, 3, 5 young.
Oh.
And they just picked up all of the ways, you know what I mean? And they picked up a lot of the ways.
Right.
Like, it's oftentimes when immigrants come as adults, they're coming here to get educated, they're coming here to work, they're not coming here to get caught up.
Exactly.
But most of them don't, right? So the young ones who get caught up and have all them records, they grew up here, went to school here, recognized for all practical purposes, and sending them back to wherever you think they came from is like extreme culture shock. They don't know the language or have lost the language.
Right.
It's just,
it's terrible.
It's cruel. It's just really cruel, and it's totally from a space of hate. Like, it's totally cruel and from a space of hate.
Speaking about us being a country of immigrants, why did I see somebody on social media that was Native American saying how they were trying to deport? Like, what? Like,
They don't know nothing.
Because they use their eyes. That's all they're
like,
looking
yeah,
at is their
you don't look like a
eyes.
white
Do you know
American.
this is this is reminding me as a student of history of like the Gestapo. Like you have a star on, like in Germany, the Jews had to wear a star on
Yeah.
their clothing to identify that they were Jewish. So you gotta carry your documents. I have a driver's license that I carry. I'm not carrying my passport. Not that they would stop me, but they could, right? Like right now, they're just doing anything. This is absolutely unreal. And the people that are supporting it, like where are you from? No, you're not from Arkansas. You're
Yeah, where's
not,
your
your
family from?
cousin who's
Exactly.
your wife is not, where are
American.
you from? You know, you're not American. Like if we're gonna, you're not, so this is just, I'm sorry, I get real passionate about crazy stuff. And I'm just so upset about the fact that and I live in Texas. So God only knows we can't get no closer to Mexico because we were Mexico, right? You can't, this is what it is. So like you cannot make it is like it's a bad soap
That
opera
movie
or
went right
movie and
now.
it just keeps
Yeah.
playing it over and over. Yeah. So it's just, again, thank you because the resources and things that you've said
Amazing.
is just going to be hopefully like listened to and understood because no one is talking about just this. Like this, prepare before you go. That's what you
And
just
let me
said.
just say one other thing, right? So another thing that's happening, right, is that a lot of these Americans that was like, yeah, they realized that some of their friends were white passing for like a long time, right?
Ooh.
And then so they were
In
like,
Miami,
passing. They're like,
in
you
Miami, honey.
what you what? And then now they're like, no, but he's such a nice guy, or she's such a great person. And so because they're taking the humanity out of it by referring to people as immigrants and aliens and all of this kind of stuff, right? Is they're taking away the humanity of it. And they just say, no, that's just the immigrants. I'm like, well, there's a person attached to that title.
Thank
so
you.
now they're starting to realize that, oh, shoot, that's my friend, that's my neighbor, that's my whatever, right?
Right.
And I was at immigration, and there was this guy had like a in the front of his truck. Boy had the, I'm just telling you, right? But he was a lawful permanent resident from Canada. All right. So he was Canadian. But but who knew, right? When his wife found out that he wasn't no American or no citizen, is because they were trying to go on a cruise somewhere.
Oh my God.
Anniversary or something, right?
All white. Oh, are you kidding?
And his green card had expired. But what his problem was, right? So I kind of was listening. God forgive me. I might have laughed a little. I'm sorry, Lord. I'm sorry, Lord. It's Sunday. I'm sorry, right? His problem was that he had a felony conviction, and that's why he never applied for citizenship, because depending on, if you're a resident, depending on what felony you did and what kind of charge you had, you may get put in proceedings and get deported. So they be just trying to ride out. But the lady was going to be trying to surprise him with a trip out of the country for the anniversary. And yeah. So that's another thing too, is people think they're so anti-immigrant, but they need to stop it. It's just certain ones of them y'all don't like, right? Because the other ones y'all ain't got no problem with because they can assimilate a lot sooner, faster, easier than everybody else. So that's another thing that's also happening that they're probably not talking about because they don't want to spotlight the fact that it's only certain types of immigrants that they got problems with.
Right. Yeah, I did see one lady from Ukraine.
She said earlier
that was saying that she was getting sent back and she was crying.
Okay, so listen, so this is gonna sound a little bad too, and I own it, right? So sometimes people do things for attention, right? And I don't know if the Miss Ukrainian lady was doing something for attention.
That was fake?
Because there's certain provisions in the law, in immigration law, that specifically benefit Ukrainian nationals, right? So I don't know what she's talking about. Like, and I'm not saying she might have that might very well be real. But what I'm saying is, particularly for Ukrainians and Afghanis, there were special provisions that were put in there by the Biden administration for those nationals that she shouldn't be crying. If she cries, she done did something else that she tell the truth. Again, I don't know her story and I don't want to give it, but I just want to point out that there are certain provisions in the law that specifically assist Ukrainians, Afghan nationals, and also Cuban nationals that have shifted. So yes. So again, I don't know if she was just doing that for the gram or the kick or whatever, they do. And again, I don't know her full story, but I just want to highlight and point out that there are certain provisions that are already in the law for Ukrainian nationals, and she may need to go talk to somebody about that and see how they can help.
Well, I do have a question. Are they going after Asians, any like Russians that are here? Have you heard, seen because
No, because
this what you do. There
I
are a whole
haven't
lot of
seen,
other
because
people.
you know that some minorities are considered model minorities, right? Like, like especially with the Asian community, they're considered like a model minority that oftentimes they're not worried about them doing nothing wrong or breaking any crimes. They come here, they work, and they do all of these things. Now, what has happened though is that a couple of attorneys have gotten in trouble for because so people will not
Take a breath. Take a breath, Sandra.
okay, no, no. Because what happens is, like, oftentimes when Asians are here, they spend a lot of money to get here. Like, they spend 20, 50, $100,000 to come here because it's such a far place, right? And there's oftentimes, and there's attorneys that's connected with the person that's facilitating those people come here. Like, not that the lawyer is involved with them actually coming here unlawfully, but what happened is that once the person get here, they know what lawyer to call, right? And so sometimes that just there's no way that all of these people from all these different parts of Asia could have gotten the same attorney if the attorney wasn't connected to the person who helped them get here. So I know lawyers have been getting into trouble because of populations that they've been working with, because now they have to find them. Because again, those communities, when they come in, they go find a corner, they stay in it, working it, and they stay out of people's business, right?
Right.
So and they don't necessarily have to work with others. Like some communities have to go and find a job, working on a table, whatever. That community got them. They take them in.
They definitely do.
So they're not as, out there like most other folks. They keep their community tight.
Right.
So it may have been some instances, but typically I haven't seen any personally, but there might have been somebody, because that community just operates in a different way.
Well, Sandra, you gave us so much information. I know our audience is going to be so grateful to get all these details, and hopefully some resources that we're going to be able to share. Can you tell us, you work mainly in Miami or South Florida? Like, where's
So immigration law is administrative, so we can practice it throughout the United States.
Really?
Yeah, it's administrative. So you can have clients from all over the place. At one point, I was doing some work with people in California, Texas, So yes, we can take clients from anywhere, right? And now, because of COVID, they finally kind of moved into the new century, and so they have this thing called WebEx, so we can do a lot of things virtually. Okay. So you don't even have to be there in person for some of the hearings. So it's kind of limited the cost for folks. So yeah, no, we can represent people from anywhere in the United States.
Are you taking on any more new clients?
So it's possible. Some people are trying to hire me right now. Like, not people, an agency is trying to hire me. So I have to see what that looks like. I'll know in the next couple of weeks if that works out.
Okay.
Yeah. So then if I get hired, then no. But if yes, right.
But in the meantime, we'll put your email address. Is that good enough?
Yeah. So you can have my email address. Reach out to me, and even if they reach out to me and they don't get me, all my friends are lawyers. I could definitely refer you to someone.
Good.
That's what I was going to ask.
Whatever like that. So they can use me as a resource to get connected. If I do end up working with this agency, if it's something that the agency can take on, I'll let them know, and maybe we can do an intake, and we'll represent them anyway, right? So yeah, they could definitely reach out to me, and I will, help them as much as I can and get them out there to someone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. We hope you get that gig.
Yes,
if that's what you want. And we hope that whoever comes in front of you understands that they have a resource that is out of this world. So good luck. And we hope that agency is smart enough to hire you. So
Ayanna, do you want to share how to reach you on social media?
Yeah, if you guys want to reach me, I am Ayanna Cabrera Cook. It's AYANNA CABRERA COOK. That's my name on everything. So you at me, find me. I coach people. Look, I'll hook you up with who I know. I do know. What did I tell you earlier? Immigration attorney in New York. I went to elementary school with her. She's from Ecuador originally, but she is in New York. So there's plethora of people out there that understand this. So just reach out. We'll help you.
So I do want to just shout out myself a little bit. So I do have a podcast that I do that's called Race and the Races. And I did an episode on Wednesday about immigration. So like if somebody want to do it, go on YouTube and check out Race and the Races. And I did an episode on immigration last week that they can look at.
Yeah, we'll share the link in the show notes as well.
No problem.
So thanks again, everyone, for being here, for helping out. And Sandra, thank you for your wealth of information. That's going to help a lot of people, I'm sure. Because a lot of people are in the dark and they're terrified. So
Yeah, it is scary.
Yeah. So to learn more about intuitive life coaching, Reiki, and Own Your Power communication courses, just go to ownyourpower.biz and join my mailing list, y'all. You'll be informed on all the things we have coming up and new shows that are coming up as well. And if you have a business, let me know as well, because I am profiling businesses on my blog. So it's a section called Power Players. So definitely hit me up for that too. Remember, anything you want is attainable. Own your power.